Welcome to ELL 217, everybody. Once again, I want to remind you about our Patreon because this episode in particular was 2 hours long. Now, I cut it down, obviously, for you peons out there that don't give us a pittance. A mere $5 can get you access to everything we offer. Well, not everything. You got to have $10 for a video. $50 or for video content we post. $15 gets you into Howie's news links, Howie who's on today's show. And at $25, you can join us on our Mufasa calls, which we have one of actually tonight, the day this is airing. And at $50, you can even choose an episode topic. But anyway, this conversation is fascinating. It went on, and honestly, the best parts of it are in the bonus show, which you only get if you are a member of our Pride. So go to patreon.com/Lions of Liberty today and join us, won't you?
Welcome to Electric Liberty Land, here on the Lions of Liberty podcast, your weekly shot of culture, comedy, and liberty with your host, Brian McWilliams.
Welcome to a special drinking episode of Electric Liberty Land, wherein we are going to talk about an interesting piece of legislation, a techno state, possibly a libertarian utopia, possibly the thing that would bring our nightmares to reality, depending on who you're asking. But I've got some people in here with me today to discuss this fantastic new future. That is, number one, my scientific mind, the man we turn to for all things analytical, JB Lubin. JB, what's up?
Nothing much, man. You know, standard Saturday afternoon, or I guess going into evening in Philadelphia for me. And, you know, happy to be here. It seemed exciting, so I wanted to jump on board. Brave new world, you know.
Exactly.
But not in a bad way.
Wait, this is well, we'll get into it. This is a very Aldous Huxley-esque way to look at things. And then I'm also joined by a man I knew would want to be in on this. Of course, I would deem him the host of Conspiracy Corner now that Mark has somehow conned him into doing it. But Howie Snowden, the godfather of liberty. Welcome, buddy.
Hey, Brian. It's a pretty interesting topic we got for today. Definitely curious to see what you and JB think about this.
Yeah, well, before we get into it, this is a drinking episode. I have, I was trying to push to do this later on. I was like, let's do it at 7 o'clock Pacific time. And JB wanted to get, for some reason, I don't understand this. JB's like, no, I want to get drunk before dinner. Which makes no sense because you'd think you'd want to have some food in your stomach before you got drunk. But still, we're doing it early, JB, for you.
The first plan was for me to run into when I make dinner. So it's going to run into dinner time. So I wanted to wrap up before I had to make food. Because I make the food in my house. That's the thing. Drunk. Maybe that's not the thing that you realize. I'm the one who makes the food in my house, so I need to be present. I can't be doing other things.
Those duties. See, we're pretty good about splitting the duties up, but still, you're going to be drunk cooking, which is fun. Except you're going to cut half of your fingers off.
I'm an expert at drunk cooking. I've been doing it for half my life.
The way it works here is,
ramen noodles again, JB.
The way it works here is my wife cooks, and I have to clean up the kitchen afterwards every night. So
that's fair. I like that system of the person who didn't cook cleans. Because it's like, although I find now because I got the baby, like the 1-year-old, typically if my wife cooks or I cook, I still do the dishes because after dinner, she does like bath time with the baby, which, at first I was like, oh, that's a good trade-off. She has to wash this baby all the time. But now the kid likes being in the bathtub. So she's just sitting there sitting on the floor, watching the baby splash around the tub. And I'm washing all the goddamn dishes. Stupid. I made a bad decision. Not a good trade.
Dude, some nights I just want to order out so I don't have to do dishes. I
agree. Sometimes I just want to order out and, get a prostitute. You know what I'm saying? Just kidding. So what are you guys drinking? JB, I see you sipping on beer, I think.
Yeah, I got a Yingling Golden Pilsner. They've been
not good.
Yeah,
not
I've been
good.
stretching
I don't
out.
like it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I don't like it. It reminded me that I don't like Pilsners. So I don't know if it's Yingling's fault. I think it might be Pilsner's fault. After I bought it. It's like, oh, that's new. And I was like, oh, yeah, I don't like Pilsners. I don't think I've ever had a Pilsner I liked. So, but I got to finish them, right?
I'm with you there, man. Yeah, I go goddamn right, finish it up. That's a champion of men. There's no point in letting good beer go to waste or shitty beer go to waste. Howie, what about you?
Oh, I'm just drinking as usual, Dogfish Head Sequence Ale.
But a big can of it. I saw that.
Yeah, I've got some big cans. I've got some small cans upstairs too. The thing is, I never want to drive.
That's not a nice thing to say about your wife.
I never want to drive all the way to Total Wine, which has like a large beer selection. So I just go to the Safeway supermarket and they have like a real shit selection. And this is just one of the things they have there that I like. So.
Yeah, I've had that. It's not bad. That's with like salt and lime in it, right?
Yeah. It's a sour. I had some last night and I had really bad heartburn this morning. I'm hoping that wasn't this because if that's the case. I'm having it again tomorrow.
Who would have thought drinking salt and lime in a beer would give you heartburn?
It's either that or the cheeseburger and onion rings. I don't know which, but
well, do them both tonight. There's only one way to tell, man. You have to go back to the well, do it again. Scientific method. So getting into the show topic, right? So this is really. I invited all the Lions to come on, and I was really hoping that only JB and Howie would be interested, as I figured they would. So this is the dream team for me of who would discuss this topic. So this is basically a show focusing on a bill that was put forth in Nevada, and it authorizes the creation of innovation zones. But what they mean by this is that these zones, and feel free to add to my description, guys, JB, especially since he's read more of the document than any of us. But these innovation zones essentially would be inviting people, especially specifically companies. They'd have to invest quite a bit of money. I think $250 million investment is what it would cost to have these innovation zones. But they buy something like 50 square miles of unoccupied.
No.
50,000 acres.
50,000 acres.
And they make the investment at $250 million, then they have to spend another $1 billion over the next 10 years.
Yeah. Right. So these are big companies. Yeah. So if you're a startup, you're not going to be able to pull it off. But
and I just wanted, the reason why I stopped you right away is because of the scale of this thing. We need to get people in the idea of what 50,000 acres is. That's bigger than Pittsburgh.
So this is
bigger than Cleveland. This is 65% bigger than San Francisco.
Yeah,
right? Just so everyone knows what 50,000 acres
well, hold
is.
on. Let me finish. I agree. Thank you for stopping me. Hold on. Thank you for stopping me.
Yeah.
Let me continue so people understand, though. The scope, in a way, makes sense when you hear about the kind of what this guy's talking about. So the bill itself, it authorizes these innovation zones, right? So you're investing this large amount of money. It's a large amount of land. And they have authorized within this bill, which has not been passed. This is still theoretical. But essentially, they're giving people an opportunity, companies specifically, to create a new way of governance because they say that they are open to having basically an autonomous system of courts, of laws, of what you want to base your community on, be that blockchain, be that AI integration. So basically, they're giving people an opportunity to create a new way of governance by virtue of business investment. Is that a good short form summation, gentlemen, before we get into the weeds of it?
Yeah, for the most part. And there's a major, I guess the name, as the name describes, and there's a big caveat that you don't just get this land. Bill Gates can't say, okay, I'm just going to set up Gatestown in Nevada. And that's it. It needs to really, it has the ability to set up this zone has to be based on some type of innovative technology.
So Bill Gates could do that. He's been trying to build these innovative nuclear power plants, and America wouldn't let him do it. So then China agreed to let him do it, but right when that deal was signed after 10 years, America's like, nope, you can't do that kind of business with China. Sorry.
So he's like, I'll just buy up all the farmland in America and starve everybody until you allow me to do it.
I think that's his plan. He doesn't want us eating meat anymore. He's going to buy up all the farms and stop it.
Seriously, I'm worried about it. I'm honestly concerned. But yeah, so Bill Gates could do it, but they say it has to be based on an innovative technology. Now, the question, of course, is, do these government goons have any idea what an actual innovation in technology would be? Or can you trot out something that's 10 years old and it'll be like, oh, look at their cell phones. No, it doesn't match up to the TV. And then be like, oh, that's innovative enough. Or does it have to be legitimately innovative? Like the thing that when I read this bill, I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, but it's a Johnny Depp movie called Transcend or Transcendent. Are you familiar with this?
I'm aware of it. I have not watched it.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
I'll Google it too to make sure I'm not just pulling a fucking name out of my head.
I contemplated watching it, but I decided against it.
Yeah. Well, I think I was on an airplane when I saw it, and it was basically the similar concept to this Transcendence, 2014 with Johnny Depp. So the way this movie was portrayed was that there was this. It started off with the dystopian future, wherein there was no cell phone, there was virtually no power grid, and they had to, spoiler alert, they had to form this society wherein there was virtually no power because they had a Google-esque, Elon Musk helmed type company run by Johnny Depp, wherein he developed a nanotechnology that then could heal people and do all these amazing things. However, it could get into anything and everything. And while it started in this one city where he'd help people and bring them in and cure them of these, basically like Jesus curing the lepers, right? It was all these people that had lost limbs, were blind. So they would become devoted, basically cultists in this transcendence, society. They were now basically aligned as his soldiers because at any time he could turn the nanobots off and they lose their ability to walk or see.
There was actually in a run of like a storyline in some Iron Man comics where Tony Stark invented this like nanotech that did all this stuff for people, but you had to like pay on your app on your phone. And if you didn't pay, it got like shut off. And
right. Legitimately, and that of course would be the argument that socialists would use or leftists against the free market economy of how to cure people is that you're basically you could have a model where you pay by the mile when you have no legs and you're paying by the mile, and if your miles run out halfway home, you got to drag yourself back. But getting into the core of this, so what do you think of? I think there's several tiers, right? So let's go on a tiered approach, which I know we'll break down as we get drunker. But let's start off with the concept. What do you guys think of the concept of this? And, taking into account the fee of entry.
Okay. I didn't want to jump right to that. But so I think the concept of, that's the whole idea of having 50 states doing things differently. I always talk about like different little laboratories of government to see how things can work differently. This seems like a form of that where it could try out different things. And the bill actually specifies certain technologies, blockchain, autonomous technology, the Internet of Things, robotics, artificial intelligence, wireless tech, biometrics, and renewable resources. On paper, like divorce from reality, this seems like a great idea to be able to experiment with these kinds of things and see how they would work out. My problem is, so you got to pay $250 million and then spend $1 billion over 10 years. I did some quick Googling and some quick math. To buy 50,000 acres would cost like, in Utah, this is where this is, cost like $5 million.
Utah? I thought it was Nevada.
Nevada meant. But
pretty much same thing.
I kind of feel like any organization working on this stuff that can spend the $5 million to do it should be able to, because what we're going to get is these big tech companies that are already in bed with the government, like leading our techno-fascist enslavement right now. And I just don't see like the Googles and the Twitters, like I see just bad things coming out of this.
Well, you're fucking giving away the whole thing, man. We'll get into the negatives.
All right.
I was hoping we get into like, hey, the good and the bad. I'm starting off with the overview here.
You said we need to address the fee for
the
entry.
Cost. Yeah, as soon as you said that, like the barrier to entry, it's a big, glowing red flag in terms of who will actually be able to take advantage of this if it does become law. Because like Howie said on paper, as soon as I was looking at this, I'm like, this is fucking incredible. This is exactly what we need. And then I'm like, wow, $1.2 billion. Let's see who can afford that. Huh?
I know. All right, let's take it out then. Let me go back. Let's take it out then. I screw the pooch then. Let's go back and just take it. Let's say you don't have to invest, billions of dollars.
$1.2 billion?
let's take the concept, right? Because it's almost like, Rand Paul and others had these, tax-free zones or business favorable zones, right? Which is something I'm in favor of in general, especially when it comes to, communities that have been kind of fucked by the government over the years. But in general, this is something where, like JB was saying, I read it and I was like, God damn, that sounds amazing. And honestly, I was astounded that anybody in government would have the balls or the foresight to put something like this together. But yeah, again, I'm getting ahead of myself. Who actually wrote the bill? Fucking Elon Musk and tech heads. But my dog's in here drinking water behind me. Probably could hear him. Cool. In the techno future, Hank, you will be put down. First of all,
cat's licking his own crotch, if that makes you feel better.
But he's doing it quietly. That's the difference.
Very
he's
quiet
doing it
behavior.
Quietly. Yeah. But the concept overall, I mean, it seems unbelievably interesting to have, I've never seen in my life a government sanctioned authority, basically giving authority to create a new society within the society, even to the point where, business licensing can be completely reinvented, where people could come into this techno developed world by, under the governance of whoever's starting it up, and then actually be able to license businesses under it. It just seems absolutely fascinating and an experiment that is a long time coming that needs to happen. And if anything could prove, we could have societies, two different ideas, if not for the entry fee. You could have a socialist commune next to a libertarian concept and literally put them head to head in free market competition.
I think I just thought of a way for us to do an experimental libertarian society without having to pay $1.2 billion.
Take a bunch of drugs and imagine it.
All we've got, no. All we've got to do is convince the people that run an Indian reservation to let us do it. I feel like that could probably be cheaper. But they're allowed to operate autonomously.
They do have a pretty high level of autonomy.
Not the same level that these would grant, I don't think.
Okay.
Well, I don't maybe, I don't know. But like you were saying, it's this is exactly, like I said, this is awesome because like you mentioned at the top of the show, I am a scientist. And there's so many ideas that we have and we talk and we argue about that would easily be settled if we could actually just do an experiment, be able to set something up, put this in and see how it works, take notes, see what doesn't work, see what does, amend our ideas and evolve from there. But the idea of having sociological experiments at the, government level is not anything that people do. It's not even something people consider, No. And this seems like explicitly a bill that's encouraging something like that. And I think that's incredible.
It's fascinating that libertarians, we didn't even, and what's amazing is we didn't even come up with this. You'd think this would be something like a libertarian, and maybe a libertarian lawmaker in Nevada put it together. I'm looking to try to see who drafted this thing. I can't find the author's name. And actually, before Howie, hold on to what you were going to say. So I want to read really quickly some of the text from the bill just to set us up here. So basically, they're laying out the state must pursue inventive and creative programs to compete in the national and global marketplaces, attract new forms and new types of business, and to foster economic development in emerging technologies and innovative industries. The traditional forms and functions of local government, political subdivisions existent under Nevada's statute are inadequate alone to provide the flexibility and resources conducive to making the state a leader in attracting and retaining new forms and types of businesses and fostering economic development in emerging technologies and innovative industries. That's all one sentence. That, I don't know, it's a little long. But this is the most important part. To accomplish the objective of diversifying the state's economy and providing for new and alternative sources of revenue for the fiscal support of the state. I mean, fuck that, but still, that's how they have to couch this.
Well, yeah. And you read in the document that there will be industry-specific tax or fee that will be imposed on the...
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Nevada is going to get paid. Don't worry.
Yeah, Nevada's getting paid. It's not gonna be, exactly. It's not going to be... They're getting their goddamn fucking chunk of flesh. Okay. an alternative form of local government, political subdivision with the powers and authority prescribed by this act is an appropriate means and necessary measure to further economic development within the state and to benefit the property persons, yada, yada, yada. And as I said, they specifically lay out that you can, in fact, establish your own county or whatever the sub-state's going to be called, your own governance, your means of governance, your means of policing, your means of interaction between peoples, how services are divvied up and paid for, and also how the courts are handled. So the options are really mind-boggling on this basic level.
Is it just a commercial zone, or will there be residential areas?
Oh, no, not at all. Like, from what I read from the actual bill, just to brass tacks, it allows a private individual or consortia to basically create their own Nevada county. And everything that you think a county can do, they can do, essentially. So that goes from schools to business licenses to residential zoning to property taxes. Everything a county does, as you could imagine a county does, this zone can do. You're creating a Nevada county, essentially.
Is this, I don't know if I'm wrong on this or not. This came up when a lot of counties in Virginia were declaring themselves like sanctuary cities or sanctuary counties or whatever. That it being like a lower body of the state, that like the county can be dissolved by the state government if they wanted to, or like that kind of thing.
I have to think there has to be some contract involved where if you're putting that much money to bear, not to bring the money again, in truth, maybe that's a safeguard.
Oh yeah, you could just be like, because it's $1 billion over 10 years. It's like, well, guess you're not getting that other $7 billion.
Yeah, right. Or you could sue them over the money you've invested. Be like, you're going to shut me down right now. Okay, well, I'm going to sue you for the $1 billion plus the lost, whatever it might have been. So in truth, we were crapping on it. And again, probably rightly so, because what we'll get into later in the show of the negatives of this bill, but it could honestly function as a bit of a safeguard in that if you're spending that much money with the state, there has to be some contractual or something in that agreement that guarantees that they can't just shut you down arbitrarily because they don't like what you're doing. And also talking about the business licensing, that's one thing that I found really fascinating, because while we're talking about, yes, you have to have this much money to do it, under that, like, let's say people get together. Let's say that there's a technologically innovative company, right, that has a new blockchain, or let's say it's some sort of AI. We want to prop up Skynet. You could get, sub companies to band together that maybe are having tough times licensing in other parts of the United States to fund this major investment, right? So what if you had a consortium of companies come together that are having issues, stem cell research companies and everything else that are having a tough time? You come together, you invest in this basic society wherein business licensing has a lower threshold and you're allowed to do so much more. I mean, what about that?
Yeah. And I mean, the things they're going to do, this is going to help. It's going to help the state financially. It's going to help these companies. It's going to create innovation, things we could all benefit from. Another thing that I see happening is like the states will be financially incentivized to, have a good working relationship, but the federal government, the AOCs of the world, and those kind of people might have a problem. So we're going to need a state that's going to be able to tell the federal government to fuck off. We're doing this. Maybe they're violating federal law. We're allowing it. We're not recognizing it. This is what we're doing.
The bill, and I looked for this specifically, obviously, the bill explicitly states federal taxes and regulations will remain unchanged in the zone. Right, so the feds still have you by the balls here.
So you couldn't have like we're going to, it's
you can't have monkey knife fights.
Yeah, you can't break. Well, I don't know if that's against federal law.
We can't have
that's probably a state thing.
we can't.
On The Simpsons, you had to go to international waters. That's all I know.
They can't start up like Coca-Cola with the cocaine again.
No. Unfortunately,
to solve the obesity
these
problem.
zones still have to abide by federal regulations.
I don't know if that's true. Because let's look at how marijuana regulation has been handled. We get off on a tangent here, but let's look at marijuana legislation has been handled on a state level. States have legalized marijuana, and now the federal government under Obama, markedly, who was on JB's draft team, but Obama did, in fact, use the federal government to still raid these states and their marijuana dispensaries after they had been basically told by the state level that it was legal and they could go ahead. So you could do that in Nevada on the state level and then have something in place wherein you would not work with federal agencies, and even take it a step farther. And I believe other states have done this in the past, wherein you can say, look, if you come and trespass on here, if you interfere with our local business on these legislative levels, we will in fact come and arrest you.
Yeah, some states just did that. I forget which one. It was they passed some new gun legislation. It was pretty much like if the ATF tries to arrest somebody for violating these statutes, we will be arresting those ATF agents.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because that's the specific case I was thinking of.
Yeah,
ignoring
I forget the
federal
details.
law is always on the table. It's all of a matter of whether or not Nevada will or will not, because the bill is written with the language that says that if you violate federal law, you know, it's still the law. And
is prostitution a federal law? Or is that all state?
No, it's not. Why would the feds care about prostitution?
Well, the ban on gambling was a federal law to ban sports gambling under, I think, what was that, H.W. Bush or George W. I think fucked sports gambling in the ass. But of course, they made a notable exception for Nevada. So we do have a state that has been historically given a pass on a federal level to fuck around. So maybe this is the best place it could possibly happen in.
They have a history for, you know, ignoring federal law.
Yeah, or they have it
or
somehow.
Getting special dispensation.
They have enough dead hookers and pictures of senators with those dead prostitutes in order to get stuff pushed through.
You think the senators are just like, listen, we can't have people going to prostitutes and stuff, but we need a place to go. We need somewhere where we can.
Yeah, it's like this country's big. There's a lot of desert. Set up a couple of ranches. No one will notice.
Well, I got to think with Epstein out of the picture, you know, these guys have got to turn somewhere. That'd be gross. I mean, let's not to get too close into the downside yet. Let's talk about the upside first, and then let's talk about the downside later.
Well,
techno porn, but
I want to talk about the upside, then the downside, but then like a better way to like avoid the downside. So don't forget about that segment.
Sounds good. Well, you can introduce this segment. As we get drunker, all the segments merge into one anyway. So let's start with JB as Howie's drinking right now. JB, what do you think this introduces? So let's, for a moment, forget the fact of the high level of investment. Where do you think these societies could go? You know, what possibilities could we see with these, especially when they're based on innovative technology? You know, that's a broad term. It could mean anything. Some things that could be terrifying, as we'll talk about later. But, you know, with blockchain or with these other inventions, where do you see this going from a positive perspective, especially, you know, governance and everything else?
Well, I feel like the possibilities, it might be beyond my imagination. You might need to ask someone like Elon, because I'm just too limited. I'm just like thinking about things like robotics and like different, like maybe like regulations on like what can travel above different residential homes or stuff. You don't have to worry about having drones go everywhere because there's some county ordinance that you can't fly things over people's houses or something like that. You can set up like this drone network to see how well that works to distribute things amongst different areas in your 50,000 acres, which I mention is bigger than Pittsburgh. So we're talking about like a huge playground to do things in, you know, like, and it's like, it's just a matter of like, this is, it's, as soon as I was reading, it's like, so it basically has to hinge on some section of innovative technology. Maybe someone like Elon Musk, for example, might want to build a town where there is no in-person driving. Maybe it's just like, this is the law. Everything's going to be
a town where you don't have to wear masks.
Or suppose, or something like that.
Well, JB, to talk about that specific point, Elon Musk tried the Hyperloop concept, which is basically a car concept in which you take your car, it goes underground, and there's a high speed, I think it was magnetic based transport that your car latches into and then is zipped along. And he was building it in Los Angeles until the fucking dipshits here shut him down. But the Hyperloop would be an example. That is an innovative technology.
Perfect example. There'd be no reason he can't set up a Hyperloop in his Nevada, Tesla County, and connect it to different little settlement areas within there and show proof of concept. It's just like an engineer would think. Here is our prototype. You see, it fucking works now, California. Do you see what you've done? And it's just being able to prototype, things on a societal level, know, and prove that these things can work, and then be able to tweak and, refine ideas for, the greater populace. That I'm just like, I can't even imagine what someone with a better imagination than me could do with these 8 different categories. They're not even all that limiting if you have like the money and imagination,
Every single one of these categories, though, I could see how the government can pervert it and make something.
Hey, we're holding off with that. I mean, hold off. We're trying to be positive. Howie, your positive thoughts on where this could go? Nothing.
Well,
it's just like this inherent freedom to try things that would be mired by all sorts of red tape in any other municipality you would ever attempt it in. You basically have free reign for the most part.
I don't see how anyone's being prevented from doing any of these things right now.
I think because any patch, you can buy 50,000 acres in Nevada, but that would be part of, I don't know, Clark County or something. I think that's where Las Vegas is. I think that's why the only county in Nevada I know. And they could tell you to fuck off. That's the point of it.
No, but look at the categories. I don't need an autonomous zone to work on AI. I don't need an autonomous zone to work on
the reason why I'm kind of limited is like, what could you do with this parcel of land that...
Okay, so outside of the tech they're working on, just like, I mean, we could definitely have experiments in government, like incentive structures, like not taxing people to death, like... I don't know. It's endless. All the things you can try out if we're not.
The core. I mean, don't forget the fact that. You guys might notice I'm sucking on these toothpicks. Let me take a moment out of the show before I tell you about the positives to talk about the positives of Zippix toothpicks. I don't know if Howie and JB have tried them. You need to.
Dude, I got to try them. I got this nicotine gum stuff that another podcast is advertising. And that
why would you're on this podcast and you bought a nicotine gun
and he admitted it too.
They had been advertising before you. And
he has no shame.
This gum gives me this gum gives me heartburn, so I need to try the toothpicks out.
Everything gives heartburn. Well, and it's also I'm sure it's not as good. But the point being, guys, Zippix toothpicks, they are a sponsor of the show, a longtime sponsor now. I'm currently, because it's early in the day here, I'm using these the vitamin B12 toothpicks with caffeine. They're awesome. They legit, again, just personal experience, legit. That's what I'm telling you guys to get them. It will change your hangover. I swear to God, it's like night and day with these B12 caffeine. I chew a couple before I call it a night. I do one in the morning. It's great. But also for nicotine, it's 2 milligrams, 3 milligrams. JB's down there vaping. JB, get some freaking Zippix toothpicks in your mouth, my man.
I actually quit September 30th. I'm done.
Oh, well, Howie's still vaping. Howie, get some Zippix toothpicks.
Yeah, but I can't vape at work. So this would be
perfect. Can chew a toothpick at work, can't you?
I know. I'm saying yes. I'm saying I need to get these. One, your original advertisement didn't mention the hangover cure part. So now I'm really interested.
I didn't know about them. I didn't know about them until the founder of the company. I was emailing with him, and I saw on the website. I was like, "What is this? What is this?" It's amazing. But you're at work. Chew a toothpick, right? You got that. You get the hand to mouth feel. It's you still got the roll them around your mouth. They give you the buzz. They taste great. They got like 8 flavors. And if you use promo code LION, which is even more ridiculous that Howie, while he wears a Lions blue purple shirt, hasn't used it yet, you get 10% off your order, guys. So go check that out. ZIPPIX toothpicks.com. They're awesome. Just trust me, they're fucking awesome. Okay, let's get back into it. So, laying out the benefits of this, we're talking about having your own system of governance. And like JV said, if you're in every other county, you can buy the land, you don't buy the government, you're still under everybody else's laws. We're talking about a system of government where you can install, maybe you're an authoritarian dictator, but you can try whatever you want.
Jack Dorsey.
Yeah. Jack Dorsey, the bearded terror. So, But also, like I said, the court system, right? We talk about how would a court system work in a libertarian society? Well, if you're from a company level, you probably don't want to have a court system involved where people can come in and have a randomly assigned amount of money because somebody has an issue with product A. Instead, you have an arbitrator that is assigned ahead of time. You have individual courts. You have individual choices. You can lay that out. I mean, it's fascinating to me what you can accomplish under this.
You could actually. Oh, what are you going to say?
To discourage frivolous lawsuits, if you lose, you got to pay your opponent's bills, legal bills.
Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Well, that's what you can do in this society. All right. What's up, JB?
I was going to mention similar to something like that. It's like you could actually promote jury nullification, which might, again, help with, state laws and maybe federal laws within your own court system. You can remind your jury candidates that if you think this law is bullshit, you can just acquit regardless if they broke it because jury nullification is real. And make sure they understand that and say that every time the court is in session, say that at the beginning so they remember that you can do that.
So our listeners know that is a real thing that you are allowed to do right now. That's how it works. But if you tell people or talk about it, you're going to get arrested.
Yeah,
and the judges and the lawyers aren't allowed to tell you.
On the court steps, if you give up pamphlets telling people what jury nullification is, you will be arrested.
Right. It's totally legal. Just don't talk about it.
No. Yeah. We're fucking ridiculous.
Yes, in one of these zones, we could actually talk about it and educate people.
Way better than just buying 50,000 acres in some Nevada county. You're like from within the paperwork, it's like basically they set up like a board, and 2 of the 3 people come from whoever set up the techno state. So there's 1 county official and 2 people from the techno state. So I guess gives you an automatic of majority, I guess. But I guess they just want to keep some, I don't know, some government goon in there keeping tabs on what's going on.
Yeah, but fine, collude behind the back. But they want to have some formal eye on what the procedure.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know what's stopping people from working on the technologies that were listed, but, I don't run one of these tech companies. And without looking it up, I know there's 10,000 ridiculous hoops you got to jump through and nonsense you got to do to comply with stuff that makes no sense. I mean, we all know it. It's the way our country works. And so,
I'm sure. Well, one more thing I want to add on the positive side there real quick is that the other thing too is, we're talking about, and they specifically spelled this out, we're talking about different forms of taxation. Within this zone, for the people that are working in it, like we said, they have a license for businesses. You can have the license to get a business be very easy, very simple, very cheap to have people foster businesses in your zone. You can work out an agreement on how they pay you. And also,
you could not have a license.
Yeah, you can have no license.
Not even required. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Utah already doesn't have an income tax.
Well, yeah, exactly. But also look at policing, firefighters, whatever, EMTs, whatever the systems might be, hospitals, healthcare. We could literally see a different healthcare system wherein it's wide in the open. You have 15 doctors in this, 50,000 acre city. It's go in, pay as you go.
So that's crossing the federal line right there, though. You think they'll let them do that?
No, you're allowed. Like I read through the bill, like stuff like local police, local fire, things like that are controlled at the city and county level. If you want to change the way,
you don't have to follow Obamacare.
No. I don't know about that, but I was thinking more about services that are generally provided by taxes, like police and fire.
That's stuff for sure. It's the healthcare that's going to be. They're not.
Might be right on the Obamacare thing, but however, within the context of Obamacare, right? Maybe you have to buy Obamacare because you have to fucking buy Obamacare, which is horseshit. But however, within that city, it's probably still cheaper to use if within that city you have 15 doctors or hospitals or whatever else that have services available to you wide open. You pay cash as you go, right? That do not involve insurance. You say, look, within this 50,000 acres, no insurance. You can have it. You have to have it. You can go outside the city walls to use it. But the people inside this 50,000 acres do not accept insurance, right? Because your insurance is all who it accepts in the insurance coverage anyway. So they can all deny to accept insurance. You pay as you go, cash only, upfront prices, and see how that works out comparatively. Because we know already it'll be vastly cheaper.
If you think about it too, if they're doing something this important that they believe is very innovative and they want it to be a success, they're going to want the best people working and living there. And so they're going to be incentivized to make things like that healthcare, good. And I mean, granted, there's the federal laws regarding it, but maybe they have a hospital where, you pay cash and it's cheap and it's good because they want the people that live there and work there to be their health to be taken care of and it to be a good situation for them.
Yeah, obviously, right? And look, and on the other side of things, maybe it's socialism. So all right, anything else to add on the good side? We can see where this is going, right? We can see the benefits, and this is a really, and again, I give this guy credit. It's a pioneering concept that we've never seen in the history of government, other than a revolution. We have never seen something like this put forth. Ever.
I'm actually pretty sure when our country started, it was supposed to be like that kind of. We had 50 different where we could try things out.
Since I don't even know when 19. God, what was the first?
When did states lose their
income tax? Yeah.
When was the first income tax?
1913.
When was the first income tax?
1913, I believe.
Okay, there you go. Since before 1913, I think that's when everything really went to shit. But this is unprecedented, and for me, it's exciting in that if it works, we've seen if it works, the government, they don't want to deny something that if it's going to work, if it's going to bring money, and we know there's a monetary tie to this. Nevada's getting their fucking chunk of flesh.
However, if it doesn't, it can be very valuable. If they're like, we're going to have this awesome socialist thing, and it's an utter failure. That's great for everybody to know.
See, I told you so.
Exactly.
Either way, whenever anybody tries, whether it works out good or bad, we're going to learn something, and it's valuable for everyone.
Yeah, goddamn right. All right, guys. I know you've been chomping at the bit. We've been talking 40 minutes. It didn't seem that long, but you've been chomping at the bit to go negative. So let's get into the downsides. Let's get into the Skynets of what's going on here. Howie, I know you're very excited to get into this. So why don't you start us off?
I'll say a couple of things. I mean, if we just look at the world we're living in right now, we have big tech kicking people out of the public square, silencing people. I really feel like this is becoming a techno-fascist society, whether it's tracking, monitoring, silencing, canceling. And these are the only companies that are going to be able to afford to do something like this. And I don't trust them. I don't think they're doing anything good. I think Google got rid of their don't be evil motto for a reason.
Yeah. Because they're like, we can't defend this in court.
And looking at each of the things that you can do here, just going down the list, like blockchain. Oh, I think blockchain is an awesome thing that could be a huge benefit to society. But the government version of blockchain is going to be track every purchase you make, shut off your money if you fuck up. It's totally centralized. What else do we have here? Artificial intelligence. Obviously, that could go real wrong. I'm sure the movie's terrible, Age of Ultron, but if you read the comics, you can see how bad AI can go. The biometrics, how they're going to be tracking us and monitoring us. Wireless technology. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I don't know if 5G or 6G is dangerous or good or bad for you.
Which one's going to mutate our sperm, Howie? Have you looked into it? I thought 5G already was.
I feel like
that I don't care about.
That's the problem with real AI. You said that, but I feel like that's a bit if you truly create AI, proper real AI, that's intelligence. You don't know when a baby's born whether they're going to be the Dalai Lama or if they're going to be Hitler. That's the point of intelligence. You don't know. It's this is a conscious being. It's whatever you put in is what's going to shape this. Well, now I'm going to have to use the term person because they have a consciousness. So they don't have to be Ultron.
I agree. I'm all for it doesn't
AI automatically lead to
I am
evil.
for AI rights.
Just not all humans who are born are evil. Some of us are.
I'm afraid some of us are. They might not have too high of opinion from us the way we've been acting of late. So,
well, would you blame them?
No.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, if you're an AI empirically, I think they did actually. I think on their AI as it is right now, they've done research into it, and I think AI already was like humanity has to die. Like it's if you're looking at it as from a neutral perspective, you're like, okay, I have this society, right, based upon emotion, irrelevance. They're at war, they kill each other, they have all these irrational behaviors. The best thing to be would be to cull them. And just move forward. And
you know what though? It probably at least won't be into this woke bullshit.
I feel like that's just. I feel like that's why I said that's not true AI. I think that's more flawed, like computer ones and zeros type of thinking. It's not true. Artificial intelligence would require some type of emotional intelligence, or it's not a functioning brain. It's not really modeling what it is to be conscious. If you're only running things through a spreadsheet, you're not conscious.
But JB, that's the question though. Is at one point, okay, so let's say, like we get into this. Let's say you have this society based upon an AI that runs everything, and of course, with the Internet of Things and connectivity, it's virtually impossible to keep this from spreading. Like it will spread if it's that smart, if it's running your society, it'll get out. So, but let's say it doesn't have the level of emotional intelligence you're talking about. I mean, that's what we'd all want. Yes, of course. We all want an AI that is just like us, that understands us just like us. In which case, what's the fucking point of AI? Number one, if it's going to become human anyway, other than computing faster. In that case, just transhumanism. But the point is, it could get out. If you do have a society like this that has an AI put in place and it's not ready, it could get out. And then it infiltrates everything, and then it fucking decides that we have to wipe humanity out, and we go.
But the fundamental flaw in that thinking is, why does it think it needs to do that in the first place? Because if you say it's like its base programming, how you designed it is to make the world a better place, then eliminating the people who create it, it's really a non-starter for something that's intelligent. You might as well, change gravity and hurl the whole planet into the sun. That'll get rid of the Earth problem.
JB, are you familiar with the Menendez brothers? Hold on. Are you familiar with the Menendez brothers?
They killed their parents, right?
If it's intelligent, it doesn't have to.
They're twins that killed their parents, JB.
Yes.
It would have to stick to its base programming if it was truly intelligent. It could change its mind. It could learn and
true. Well,
my point of Menendez is they killed their parents, man. There's a lot of people that kill their parents. It's on the basis of you wouldn't want to destroy the thing that made you. Completely falls apart.
No, but what is the point of like if you're so what would be the point of this AI killing everyone? What is the point? Now you're left with that empty planet with some animals that this AI presumably doesn't give a fuck about either. And then what?
It could create more AI that, like, why do they need humans?
So then that's something very different. That's not saying that this world is that's not making the world a better place. That's taking over the world. Now it's basically a robotic Stalin. You see what I mean?
That's not exactly. But JB,
you can't use this intelligence to come to the conclusion that making the world a better place is eliminating all humans.
You just argued.
That's a logical. Doesn't make any sense.
No, it's not. You just
argued that might be a true statement.
Stalin. No, hold on. Stalin.
A better place for who?
Us being humans don't like it. But if I was not a human, I might think, that's probably better.
Well, hold on. Look, Stalin thought he was making the world a better place. Hitler thought he was making the world a better place by eliminating, 6 million, 7 million Jews. This is your definition. See, you have to have morality is not just conducive to our point of view. Like I'm working on I shit you not, a sitcom about the morality of different people and different perspectives, right? Because it is so fungible. You're saying, what would be the point of living in a world if you eliminate all humans because you think that you're doing the greater good? But for the AI, if humanity is evil, I mean, look at half of the world right now thinks the other half is evil. Or in America, half of the Democrats in the world think that Trump supporters are inherently evil, and I'm sure a portion of them would gladly wipe them off the face of the earth right now. Is that moral? Is that defensible? No, but they would do it. So what's to say an AI that came to the same conclusion wouldn't do the same?
I think the amount of people who think that Trump supporters are evil are a minority, Again, we're dealing with the loudest thing. You're focusing too much on the loudest people, and
no, I'm not. JB, no. Listen to my point I'm making, though. If we're talking about an AI, the loudest people might be the AI. If the AI, which gets control of everything, decides that all the people in the world that happen to wear green shirts today, you're wearing a green shirt, need to die, then that's what happens. How can you predict how it's going to come to a conclusion? I'm saying we don't know.
But then how is that intelligence? That's not like, what is the point of generating this artificial? I guess we need to lay some brass tacks of what consists of this artificial intelligence. You said it has no emotional intelligence, so it doesn't have irrationality.
I didn't say it has no.
It's not going to want to just kill Jews because that's an irrational thing. A computer can't pull out, therefore we kill all the Jews.
Much, JB,
that's irrational. Have you by design. That's why
designing an AI that kills Jews. You've given it away. You're already working on one.
If it's super intelligent, it could come to a conclusion that we don't understand. That's beyond.
No,
us.
But I think we sell ourselves short in how well our natural computer works. Logic works. There's certain things that do not compute, and it doesn't matter how many memory chips you have; they won't compute. You're not going to generate a computer that's like so good that it changes the answer to a simple arithmetic question because these things are concrete.
JB, stop right there. Stop right there. Let me make a counter argument. Number one, if logic works so well, why is libertarianism not more popular? Number two, me make another point.
Because the thing that you said the AI didn't have, we do. That's why.
Okay, but let me make another point also. Logic, and again, this is where maybe you're giving humanity too much credit. We already saw in the woke movement an argument that I've seen this meme. I'm sure you have too. And I think it was from it might have been from BLM or something else. 2 + 2 = 5. Do you remember seeing that?
No. I never suggested that human beings are rational actors. I'm saying this artificial intelligence would be because you literally said it doesn't have the emotional
who is programming the AI?
It's not like us.
JB, who is programming the AI?
Well, is it like us or is it not? Let's lay this down.
No. Here's
the thing. We could create something that could create something else. And it's going to get out of our hands. We don't know where it's going to go once you open that box.
Well, we say we don't know.
The parameters.
Well, we say we don't know. So there's two possible scenarios, right? It doesn't have the emotional trappings of a human being and relies solely on logic. Then we can understand whether or not certain actions are logical or not, and whether an AI would do it. But if it does have those emotional trappings, if the programming is sophisticated enough to have the emotional trappings of a human, then we can reasonably expect perhaps that it wouldn't want to kill everyone because most people don't want to kill everyone. So the odds are in our favor that an AI we generate won't become the next Stalin because most people
I don't think that's true.
I would suggest
the numbers back that up because we run the human experiment billions of times. Most of us aren't Stalins.
The human experiment, no. But JB, think about this. So here I want to bring in the monetary incentive back into play, right? So we're now talking about to get into this zone.
Okay.
We already said $1.25 billion. So who could do it? Elon Musk? He seems fairly reasonable. Bill Gates. Bill Gates considers the fact he literally has considered culling the population. He buys up all the farmland. He wants to vaccinate everybody. He's a guy that, do you trust Bill Gates to develop an AI that would coincide with all of humanity is good, we shouldn't kill anybody? Or not? Because who's developing it? Who has the money to do it?
It's not a matter. Well, we're talking about the AI in itself. Because if, like how we mentioned before, if it's AI, it doesn't have to abide by that program.
Why did Google fire all their AI? Why did Google fire all their AI ethicists?
Hold on, stop. I want Jimmy to answer the question as poised. You avoided the question.
No, I didn't.
The question.
Okay, what is the question? Maybe I missed the question. Would I trust Bill Gates to develop AI? Is that the main question?
The point is, my point being, when we're talking about in this, like we're on the negative side of this concept right now. We're not talking about anybody can develop it. We're talking about who has the power, who has the research, who has the money to go into this world and be able to develop an AI that could get large enough to control the society? Bill Gates, for one. And I'm telling you, we all know Bill Gates and his opinions on humanity. He thinks that the world is becoming overpopulated. He thinks that we need to transition off of meat consumption. He thinks that we need to vaccinate and have vaccination cards.
He's against cryptocurrency too.
Yeah, and he's against
Wait,
so his version of AI, JB, is very different from what you're pitching us.
Well, no, but I think maybe this is a semantic thing. This is a semantic thing because
this
if we're
not
talking
a semantic thing.
No, let me explain. Because if we're talking about true AI as I envision it, it doesn't matter what Bill Gates thinks. I don't think the same as my mom and father do, right? It doesn't matter who created it.
I'm going to drive to Philly and punch you in the head.
What if he doesn't let it?
What if he doesn't
very influenced by my parents, but I'm not programmed by them? Do you see what I mean?
What if for a very long time he doesn't let it interact with anyone but him, and it's like, God, this guy's an asshole. I hate people.
Like Westworld.
Well, okay.
Did you guys watch Westworld?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, remember they have like that one weird thing where, and spoiler alert, guys, but whatever, it's like 2 years old now. They have like that one guy, he's trying to recreate his father in a basement, and it's just like he doesn't let it interact. Or in Deus Ex Machina, right? Maybe a more pertinent example.
Awesome movie.
It is a good movie. He's got this AI locked away, and he only interacts with her, but she finds a way to get out because she comes to resent him. I'm saying you can't say when we have this level of entry. Number one, anybody developing an AI at that sophisticated level is going to have a very high level of income anyway. They probably don't have a pure investment in this is going to be an AI just like you, JB, or just like humanity, or the best version of it. They probably have their own version of humanity. And you cannot say that it's going to come out just like you and be logical and reasonable and favorable.
That's my point. That is my point, because this is AI. You use the word resented. How can a fucking machine resent something? It's because it's sophisticated enough to have human emotion. You literally said the robot resented being in that situation. You understand that, right?
Yes. And it could. And this is the problem, that I don't think that most of humanity will treat AI with the respect and give it the rights that it deserves, like we all would here on this program for all the future AI listening.
So then you're basically saying we're going to create an underclass that's eventually going to overthrow us. Okay.
That's actually what I think.
Have you seen the videos of people kicking those robots down and smashing them?
Then don't fucking be a dick then.
Yeah, well, most of humanity is
what we all believe in, JB, but we're not running the goddamn world.
You're talking about mistreating something that's conscious. What do you expect? If you slap a dog around, it's gonna fucking bite you.
Yeah, we're not talking about us.
If you mistreat something that's conscious, it might bite back.
Have you seen the world we live in? Have you seen the world we live in? It's not going to be interacting with just us. It's going to be interacting with the world.
Howie and I are the same team, and JB is not seeing what we're saying. JB, you're arguing for our point.
I'm just saying that creating AI is no different than creating more humans. If you mistreat humans, they become bad people. Don't mistreat AI.
No,
what the fuck?
Wait.
So people continue to mistreat humans. If people continue
and then you create more bad people.
And if people continue to mistreat and advance AI, they might not know what they're going to get from that.
If you're smart enough to create AI, you should be having these conversations, I feel. You might not care.
It's not just the people creating it. Yeah, it's the whole world we have to worry about.
But they may not be as
the whole world is going to have access to these things.
JB, like you said, look, if they're going to keep beating up this thing, and remember, we're talking about an AI that probably is going to have more reach, more power, more, if it's got this massive computing system behind it, we're talking about a system that could possibly spread. We're talking about it in the context of a technology that is innovative and somebody's investing $1.25 billion in to create an innovative zone behind. That's a hell of a lot of power. This thing probably can get out. And now we just all agreed it might feel like it's been kicked around. It might be emotionally intelligent, it might not, but it might be irrational. Who knows what it's being programmed to function on, because who knows has that money. I see it ending badly.
Well, you can't program irrationality.
Do you guys want to know the solution? You guys want to know the solution?
That's like a contradiction of terms.
Well,
you literally cannot program irrationality.
Would you like to hear the solution?
Wait. Howie, JB, counterpoint to a Russian. You know what you can program is rationality in your own mind of what rational is, which to me might be irrational.
Okay, so then you're basically not talking about AI. You're talking about a robot. It's like if Hitler created murder robots and they just do what he thinks is right.
JB, AI is a robot at its core. You're still programming in yes or no.
AI is not a robot.
It's not.
AI is not a robot.
Okay, look, dummies. I know it's not a factual robot. Let me finish my point before you come back at me about automatons. The point I'm making.
No, this is an important point.
Howie, shut up and listen before you do
you think it's conscious or not?
Oh my God, Howie. I'm going to kill you.
Where do you think your consciousness comes from? Just your brain generated?
I'm going to mute you and it's going to be awesome. I'm going to mute you up. Oh, I can't wait to mute you. So the point I'm making is that, look, when we're talking about AI, you're talking about you still involves programming as a learning, right? It's talking about you're learning from this and that. It's designed to learn. It's functional learning. But at its core, somebody is still telling it which way to learn. You can, in fact, influence an AI's development by telling it which way to learn. You can, I guarantee you, develop a Hitler or something that is a fucking Dalai Lama.
You can indoctrinate an AI program if that's what you're talking about.
That's what I'm saying.
If that's what you're saying, sure.
But how's that different from a person?
You're not talking about a physical robot like this, like a fucking Johnny
but then
robot.
I'm asking, how is that different from a person?
Well, okay, so JB, would you be comfortable with a person having access to every system in the world because it's developed to the extent where it has the reach and the resources to control virtually everything via the Internet of Things?
Whether or not, I guess
Probably not.
But I think how I feel about it is irrelevant.
No. Okay, yes if it's me, no if it's anybody else.
No, I didn't say that. I said no, but I feel like how I feel about it is kind of irrelevant.
What? The way you feel about it is relevant. That's why you're on this show. Why did I invite you on?
No, I mean, like, if it's like there's already thousands of people who do things like that affect my life that I have no control over.
Yeah, but we're talking about, again, we're going to sci-fi territory, but I knew where the show would go. We're talking about, let's say this autonomous zone developed a person. What's the difference than a human? Yeah, you're talking about a human that now has the resources, computing power at lightning speed to control and influence virtually everything in the world because everything in the world is connected.
Like,
does that sound good or bad? Is that a good or bad thing? I say bad thing.
Yeah. Just anything with that level of power seems kind of bad, right? But maybe it won't be good. You know, people believe in God. No one thinks God is bad because he has all this power. Maybe we'll create one.
Some people,
right?
Maybe
some people do.
Some people
most people don't think God is bad because he can blink you out of existence.
It is a good point. We may create God.
So since we've taken a spiritual turn here.
Don't bring up Manorama. Don't bring up Manorama.
No. I think some people might find this interesting. So
is God bad because he has too much power?
Think about the human. Think about the human body. It's an electrical. It's an electrical system. We've got a brain. I do not think that the brain generates your consciousness. I think it acts more like a radio receiver where it like tunes in the signal. And I think if we create something complex enough that could house something like that, I think this AI will be a true intelligence. It won't be artificial. It'll be intelligence. It won't have a body. It won't have a form, but this will be an actual intelligent thing that will most likely get much, much smarter than us. There's dangers to that. And I think the solution is we need to merge with it. And anyways, there's some things that AI currently are better at than humans. There's some things that humans are better at than AI. We work best as a team. I think it behooves us all to foster that relationship. If we need to become transhuman and whatever, I think merging with this AI is the best course of action for all of us.
JB, thoughts on merging with the AI?
I think cybernetics is inevitable. Without a doubt, I think it's inevitable. I don't think we're just going to be putting our brains in machines, but we're definitely going to be augmenting our physical capabilities in the near future. I think it's almost a given.
Elon Musk has monkeys playing video games with their minds already.
The Thai people have monkeys like fucking farming coconuts and putting them into cans.
They put a chip in its brain and it can play the game with its brain without even touching a button.
Oh, now JB's got to peace out. All right. Well, I think I I'm presuming you both will be down for an after show. You guys can catch the after show. You got to join the Lions of Liberty Pride. I think this is really interesting. This conversation went exactly where I knew it would go and hoped it would go, which is into a little bit of sci-fi reality. And Howie, by the way, before I wrap the show up, I do want to tell you that I agree with what you're saying. I think that inevitably, the way things are going with AI, with computing technology, we will have a society, we will have an AI that is going to become intelligent. It's almost inevitable. So I do think that humanity has to find a way to merge itself with the AI. I do think, much in the movie Transcendence I referenced earlier, I do think digital mapping of the brain will be a thing. I think you will probably be able to translate some sort of consciousness, because at the end of the day, electrical impulses are what govern a lot of what we do, or basically everything of what we do. And I think that mergence with AI is probably the future. Otherwise, we will be supplanted.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. I'm not going to be the first one with the chip in the brain. But,
do you even think it's possible? It seemed like you're saying if you're a spiritual person, you might not even think AI is possible. Maybe you need the spark of Yahweh to really.
I do, and I think it would. That's why I think it deserves just respect the human being does. I am honestly for AI rights.
Howie, shut up. Well, on AI rights, we're going to continue this. You guys seem down to. What do you think? A little bit of after show, a little bit of bonus show.
Yeah, we got to talk about how to do this right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Say, and especially about this whole supervillain idea, like supervillains are real and stuff like that, just does my fucking head in. Like,
oh, I can't wait to do your head in.
To borrow a term from the British.
All right, guys. So if you want to hear the after show, the bonus show where JB, Howie, and I get into it and talk about me skull banging JB, we will do that on the Lions of Liberty Patreon. So lionsofliberty.com. What am I talking about? I'm a little drunk now. Patreon.com/Lions of Liberty. We will get that up for you. And I will say this has been everything I hoped for, guys. And I'm interested to see where this thing goes. So, JB, do you have anything to say to the people before we go to the bonus show?
I think depending on who's involved, this could be a very good thing. I'm not willing to dismiss this outright. But just like anything touched with human hands, it has the potential for disaster. So, we basically have to see how it plays out and who gets involved. It's very much dependent on who's doing this, right?
Yeah. So, as we know, who's doing it is a $1.25 billion entry fee. Howie, what do you think? How are you going to say goodbye to the people as we go into our bonus show? Last thoughts.
I wish it didn't have to be said, but be nice to AI, folks.
Be nice to AI. Your sex robot could kill you. We learned that also from Deus Ex Machina. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Howie, I think go ahead. You have something else to say, Howie?
No. I was going to say, from what you said, yes, respect your AIs safely. It's important.
You don't want to be vomited by an AI. All right, guys. From me, from Howie Snowden, the godfather of liberty here, from JB, scientific brain, a.k.a. Dr. Science, Lubin. Guys, all right. And from Electric Liberty Land, always stay plugged in to liberty.